Hello, welcome to Her Wild Side Hockey Podcast. I am your hostess, Mickey, aka Hockey She Wrote, and this is episode 44 of the podcast. It's been a little bit since I recorded, and that is for a couple of different reasons. I don't know, I have probably talked about it before because it's a giant part of my life, but my son, who is now 6, he has type 1 diabetes. He's had it practically his entire life. And he was in the hospital. He's fine. We're all good. We've moved on. But so I just, it's always hard to do that and then to try and get back into the swing of things. It always takes a few days. And then the other thing is kind of once I got to the point where I was back to it, my husband had a medical procedure. Again, he's fine. Everything's good. It was something that just needed to be done. But yeah, so I've just been kind of, I don't want to say floundering, but just life has just been real different. And I feel like I haven't had time or motivation to do things until today. So surprise, here I am today. It is a Saturday afternoon. And honestly, I feel like there's not a ton of stuff going on in the hockey world. And obviously when I say that, I'm meaning specifically wild hockey, simply because that's what I follow. I obviously know that there are arbitration meetings coming out, like going on, starting, I think they started today, and for the next week or so, maybe even 2 weeks, I don't remember. One of those is of interest, Connor Dewar. I'm wearing my Dewey's shirt. Connor Dewar did elect to go to arbitration for his contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So at some point, I don't know what date his is, but at some point we will hear more about that. But as for summer hockey, today was also the NHL versus the KHL game over in Russia. But again, there were no Wild players playing in it. Kaprizov, I think that he might actually be in Russia. I think he keeps a pretty low profile while he's there for obvious reasons. And thankfully, I'm just thankful that this summer is there's no controversy surrounding Kirill. Because for 2 summers in a row, we had that. I don't know if we remember back. First, it was is he going to sign? Is he going to sign here? Is he going to sign? Is he going to come? And then he signed and arrived like the night before training camp started. But that was a whole summer thing. And then the very next summer was is Kirill stuck in Russia? How's he going to get out? And, everyone was very tight-lipped about it. But there's rumor and speculation running rampant. So I like that we've gotten one picture of him lounging on a mountaintop, a nice hilltop, dressed in camo, and looks like he's living his life, which I can appreciate. The other thing that we've got going on is the Beauty League, which does have some Wild players and former Wild players playing in it. They have had 2 weeks now. If you do not know what the Beauty League is, it is a summer hockey 4-on-4 fundraiser, basically. But there are 6 teams. This year, 4 teams are men's teams, 2 teams are women's teams, filled with professional hockey players. Now, there's NHL and PWHL, but there are also college athletes, AHL, ECHL. I'm trying to think of, I think you can play over, I think they might have a league over in Sweden or something. So I'm sure some of them have played other places, but they all come and just play kind of this for fun game and tournament. And it helps raise money for, I believe, the Henderson Foundation. I'm going to pause. I'm going to look this up. I always have a fact I have to look up. Hold, please. Okay, so I went to look it up, and I am correct. The Hendrickson Foundation is one of the charities. There are actually 4 charities, which I did not realize, so you learn something new every day. The United Heroes League is one, which is a foundation that works on making sports accessible for military children and military, I believe, veterans also. They also give professional sports tickets to kids of military parents and that sort of thing. The Hendrickson Foundation they raise money to help support hockey for people with disabilities. So I believe they're tied to like the sled hockey team, the deaf hockey team, deaf and hard of hearing, special hockey. There's a host of different teams that they help support. The Herb Brooks Foundation, which just kind of wants to increase and grow the game of hockey, and also opportunities for people to play hockey. And Shine a Light, which is all about erasing the mental health stigma, especially surrounding children. So anyway, Djibouti League is fun. It supports some good causes. It's a really fun way to see NHL players on kind of a more personal level. I think a lot of them will sign autographs and stuff as they walk in and out of the arena. You get to see them on a smaller, stage kind of. Because it's 4-on-4, and each team only has, like, sometimes they go out and they've got 4 defensemen, 1 goalie, and 8 forwards. So just seeing them get more time on the ice, and for the hockey players too, first of all, just in a sense that this is July, this is when they're starting to have to get back into shape. Training camp is coming in about 2 months, so they need to start thinking about getting their endurance back, and I'm sure playing 4-on-4 hockey like this is a great way to do it. And also, a lot of them, when they'll interview and ask, like, well, why do you do Djibouti League? Like, what is the draw? And they say, like, I'm doing it for the kids. This is a way that even if a kid has been to a Wild game, I would say the majority of kids that go to Wild games, they're not sitting rinkside. Here, over at Bryn Mawr Arena in Edina, they can sit ringside. They can literally see NHL players up close and personal. It's just a really special thing. And it contributes to my love of Minnesota as the state of hockey. But like I said, other than that, summer hockey has been pretty quiet. That's a good thing, because I feel like Minnesota usually has something going on during summer, and it's usually something bad. So I've just been, and one more thing about Djibouti League is that they do stream it on YouTube with commentators and everything. So it is free to watch, and I encourage you to. It's every Wednesday night, and it's just a lot of fun. The commentators are really great, and my kid is yelling for me. So hold. The son that I previously talked about came inside, and he had to let me know that he has found the perfect rock to skip on the water, and he was saving it on the counter for the next time we are going to a lake or something, I suppose. Anyway, so that's summer hockey. Like I said, this podcast is a little bit kind of frenetic, I guess, because I just don't have a ton of stuff. I'm going to, however, quickly toss up our little Ticketmaster link. As always, if you are buying tickets to any sort of show, concert, sporting event, whatever it is, we would love if you would use our QR code, which is on the screen right now if you're watching the video, or if you are listening in a podcatcher, it is a link down below in the show notes. So we would just love if you would remember to use that. And now back to our programming. So this kind of second segment here, I'm kind of just spitballing some things, because again, this summer I've really been focusing on coming up with some plans for the future, both me and with my editor, things that I hope people would be excited to do or might have an idea. So one thing is the Taylor Swift bracelets. It's so much fun. It's a great hobby for, I know some people really love to just make them, and they're so much fun. But I was thinking, are there other things that we could trade? Because at first I was like, okay, I am not very artsy craftsy. Plus I have 2 kids, and they would steal all of my beads or dump them all over the floor. Ask me how I know. So I was thinking, is there a different kind of bracelet? And so at first I was like, do you remember those? Maybe I'm dating myself with this. The Livestrong bracelets, the, the plastic rubbery. I know a lot of people do them, but I thought that would maybe be fun to you could get them like custom printed. The other thing I was thinking of is people really like hockey cards. But again, while some of them are really cool, they do have the ones like of like off ice stuff too, or like really weird stuff. But like I was wondering, could I make some kind of hockey trading cards that's more vibes based? Like a a nice picture on the front, and then on the back do, I guess that it's hard because of copyright, but on the back then it would be more like the vibe stuff, or we could talk about like Kirill Kaprizov like carries a tiny panda toy around in his pocket, and Kirill Kaprizov loves animals and once hugged a goat. Just that's the kind of stuff, because then that you could trade with people. Yeah, so that's been the idea. Again, where am I going with this? I don't know, because again, I'm just spitballing. That's kind of a gross way to say things, because like, have you guys ever had someone spit a spitball? Yuck. I've never seen someone do it during class, which is good. Don't do that during class. Don't disrespect your teachers, because hopefully they are respectful of you. I usually don't drink stuff on camera, but here I'm. The other thing that we have thought about, my editor and I, are possible live streams after games. This is something I'm still kind of thinking about, because I always am the kind of person who I'm like, that sounds like fun, but who's going to tune in? And I know that's a terrible thing to say to myself. I do need to have more confidence. Most of us do. But it would be kind of fun to be able to talk about the game right afterwards. Now, I do think that my editor would want that to be some kind of like a subscription, like a Patreon, but using our website. Of course, any subscription type thing that I would have would be a lower cost. Like I'm not gonna ask for like $100 a month or anything. That would be really crazy. But just let me know. I'll probably post a clip of this part, and you can comment down below. This is most likely on Twitter, and just let me know if you would be interested in that kind of a thing. Like, would you actually tune in? Would it be worth it? Or, are there other things that you would pay for a subscription? Now I'm going to pop on the last commercial, and then I will be back with some more ramblings. Okay, I'll be back in just a minute.
Thank you for watching the show. If you enjoy our podcast and want to support the show, consider signing up for ESPN Plus via our link at insidetherink.com/ESPN, or scan the QR code on your screen now. I have ESPN Plus, and I personally love all the college sports, UFC, MLB, and NHL games all across ESPN platforms. Over 1,000 out-of-market NHL games are on ESPN Plus every year. Make sure you hit the QR code or go to insidetherink.com/ESPN to make sure you don't miss out on any of this year's NHL action. And if that wasn't enough for you, ESPN Plus is currently offering a bundle of ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu for $14.99 a month. You get sports, the kids get Disney, and Hulu is the added bonus. It's the perfect bundle. I personally have it, and I don't know what you would do without it.
Welcome back. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about Inside Out 2. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie yet. It's been out a couple weeks, or maybe even longer. I took my kids to it a couple weeks ago when they really loved it. But one thing I wanted to talk about was kind of the hockey aspect within Inside Out 2. Because I really enjoyed how they showcased girls hockey. It was really fun in the first place to just have Riley in the first movie, the main character Riley, play hockey. And they didn't show a ton, but it was just, it was a part of her life. And that was really cool to see anyway. But then in this movie, they really leaned into it, where the whole storyline was about her going to this hockey camp, her playing hockey with her best friends, going to this hockey camp, and then having to kind of decide how she was going to act, because there were older, cooler hockey players there. But what I liked besides kind of that little storyline was the way that they showed such an inclusive hockey team. The older group of girls that Riley is wanting to hang out with, they encompass a large range of diversity. That sounded kind of like mush mouth stuff. But what I mean is there's one girl who wears a hijab. And the thing is, like, everybody in this hockey team, apparently they like dye a little bit of their hair red. So obviously she doesn't have her hair showing, but she still has like a red headscarf underneath. So, she still has the red. They've got all sorts of different girls. And the older girl who is kind of befriending Riley is very open to the young players and is very, she's very welcoming. And some of the older girls are not as much. But she, as a leader, really tries to tamp down the meanness or the pettiness kind of that can surround team dynamics. So I really liked that they made that choice, in that I feel like it's just a really nice way to show that girls hockey is a fun sport, and maybe hopefully other girls will watch this and want to get into hockey, because that we always want to grow the game. Now, that was the last thing I had written on my sheet, but I feel like I should go one more. I have had this idea to do not specifically podcasts, but like straight up videos where I answer people's dumb questions about hockey. And I had some of you write in, and I have like a wonderful list of just things that people think they're dumb questions and they don't want to ask them, because I'm sure, I know actually that there is a subset of hockey fans that would just absolutely tear people apart. Or just not care enough to answer, if that makes sense. And I'm thinking about this. My brother and his ex-girlfriend went to plenty of games, but she really didn't understand the sport until I went with her to a game, and I was able to kind of explain things to her in a way that she understood. Whereas I'm sure my brother did try, but he wasn't able to kind of break it down in a way that she could understand. So I want to answer anything that people think are stupid questions with quotation marks around it, because there are no stupid questions. Hockey's very confusing. And actually, I was going to look and see, because like I said, I do have them written down, because they were really just really cool ideas. Or in just other stuff like weird off ice stuff that's happened in hockey, like the Wild Tarps-off stuff, how Jared Spurgeon got his number, Sidney Crosby and his link to banana bread, just all of these kind of things. So one thing that I'm going to answer one right now, and again, this is not a stupid question, but I think a lot of people misunderstand. And that would be, why is Minnesota called the state of hockey if they've never won the Stanley Cup? And I get it. I really do. I understand people's points. But the term state of hockey is not based on professional teams. It is based on the fact that we are overwhelmingly the state that has the most hockey players that come out in the highest professional leagues. Minnesota produces a lot of that. There are people who actually move to Minnesota to specifically have their children play hockey, or send them to like Shattuck St. Mary's, which is a private school in Faribault, I believe, who has a very storied hockey program, and a lot of big names have gone through there. The state of hockey is because when it comes down to it, not only do fans fill up the Xcel Center for every single Wild game ever, they also fill the Xcel Center for state hockey. These are especially finals to high school teams, public high school, usually there are some privates, but public high schools going against each other for the state, like the state title. And they still fill the Xcel Center and watch on TV across the world. There is no other state that does that. There is no other state that will tune in from 3 time zones away to watch 2 high schools battle it out, and they don't know anybody on the teams. Because when they fill that Excel Center, that's not all just people from their hometowns. That's not all just friends and family. That is people who don't know a single person playing in the tournament. But they're there to witness amazing hockey. And I've been there. I was a hockey cheerleader. My hometown hockey team went to state twice. They didn't do well, but even just being able to go and to experience and to skate on the Excel Center ice and also skating at Mariucci was so amazing. So just absolutely, everyone was just awestruck. I mean, our hometown actually chartered buses and like multiple buses to bring people to the Excel Center to watch the hockey team. And again, win or lose, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but just playing in the tournament is amazing. And there are hockey players, young hockey players, who they know they'll probably never be a professional, right? They probably won't even play hockey in college, but they know that like they want to get to that high school tournament. And that's a big goal of so many hockey players in Minnesota because it's the tourney. So I think it's just important that when people bring up, okay, you don't have the Stanley Cup. No, you're right. So far we haven't. But we have hockey at so many other different levels that people enjoy that we are okay waiting for the Stanley Cup to come when it comes, because it will come. Especially because every summer it visits Minnesota. Minnesota puts out so many professional hockey players that I'm willing to bet it comes at least once every single summer to Minnesota. In fact, just yesterday, Kyle Okposo brought it to Minnesota. So, and actually, I'm going to write down to look that up because now I'm curious. Minnesota hockey players with the Stanley Cup. Riveting content for you. That's all I got. I will be back once I research the Minnesota players with the Stanley Cup who have brought it here, because now I really want to know. I wonder, is there a list anywhere of what people did with the cup? I'm going to be doing some digging. Anyway, until next time, I hope we continue our somewhat boring summer without hockey, because that means that nobody's getting into trouble and nobody's having citizenship status troubles or re-signing troubles. Until next time, I love all of you guys, and I will see you next time.